Welcome back once again to the Finance Forum with myself, Abdu-Raof Hanslo, and my special guest in studio in the hot seat, Mr. Mohammed Jaffer from OJAF Financial Services, and we're speaking financial planning. In the first segment of this program, we covered a tremendous amount of information concerning the life cycle of an individual, as well as the financial plan that goes with the financial life cycle. Mohammed, let's continue with this complex topic. You've covered two steps in your plan. I know there's quite a few left. If we could possibly unpack, and I think you're at analysis at the moment.
That's right, Abdu-Raof, yes. We've dealt with the first two steps of financial planning. And now we look at the analysis. Once we've gathered all the information from the client, not only financial information, but also the other softer and important things in life. The lifestyle that you're currently living, the lifestyle that you would like to live, your needs, what is the family needs, because many of us, we don't live on an island. We are not isolated. We are family people. We are very family orientated. So there could be situations where certain family members are dependent on you as the planner, as the client, breadwinner. So all those things needs to be taken into consideration when we analyze the information. So once we've analyzed the information, Abdu-Raof, your risk that you are at, your financial risk, what liabilities have you got, what assets have you got, all those things needs to be analyzed. You're analyzing your budget, your income, your expenses, because it's of no value to try and develop a financial plan if you don't do a proper budget analysis, because you need to know what is the financial situation of the client, the income and expenses, and what is the free cash flow within that budget to then make a meaningful contribution towards the financial plan.
Now, Mohammed, if I could just interject there, in the past, if one looks back, these types of concepts were something that was never explored. So I remember the days of the insurance broker when walking into my mom's house and saying, you need this product because it's going to make you wealthy in the future, and there's an endowment, sign up. Meantime, in later years, when one really looked at these products, you realized, but the exorbitant amount of fees that we paid to these products, it didn't really make sense in staying in a product like that. So I think the concept now, it's revolutionized compared to yesteryears, easy products, or should I say sales products?
Yeah, Abdu-Raof, in fact, in our offices, there's two words it's haram. It's not allowed to be used in our practice. The one is broker, and the other one is sales, because and you correctly said earlier on that to me a broker is a salesman, a glorified salesman. Financial planning is a professional duty and responsibility, and selling is not part of financial planning. Yes, what you need to do is you need to analyze and then present a plan of what financial products a client needs to invest in to achieve their goals. And the fees that's associated with that is all very important, that needs to be discussed. And hence that also makes part, once you've analyzed everything, you now need to present a plan. And when we present the plan, that is where we now discuss, we are here at a certain point, you, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, would want to be here at another point, and we need to then say, okay, how are we going to get to that point, and work our way back and say, okay, if we want to get to that point, these are the financial goals we need to set ourselves, and the financial goals we need to achieve at certain times of our life. And that is when we present the financial plan to the client. And now the bartering starts, Abdu-Raof. You as a client would want to pull this way, because you would obviously want to spend the least on investments, and spend most of it in luxury things and the niceties of life. But if we're going to, the way we're going to retire or be financially free is going to depend on what we do during our lifetime. It's not what we're going to do when we get in our late 40s and 50s, but it's going to do, it's all to do what I'm doing with my funds when I start working. Because then you have time on your side, and you can make that money work for you. So that's when we present the plan with all those things covered. And then we then say and sit and say, okay, Mr. Client, this is what we believe we should be doing. And then you as a client can then interact with the advisor and say, look, I believe I want to put away more for my retirement than for my short-term needs. Or if it's a younger person, the person would say, but you know what, I would want to acquire a property at a certain time, so I would like to put maybe more towards saving towards buying that property, and I would want to my retirement, yes, I believe that it's important, but I want to start at a flatter the graph at the flatter plateau and then build that up. So these are all things that we then discuss with the client before the implementation happens.
I think also what's pertinent, Mohammed, is and I mean you've probably presented so many of these plans to so many of your clients. Obviously the advice that you give, it's calculated. It's not advice that's sucked out of a thumb. It's not advice that's just been rendered because it's available or for gain, as you said. It's researched and analyzed advice that's been put together due to various concepts like your needs analysis and so on. So when presenting this to the client, do you find that the clients in most cases do turn around and say, but I require something else, or I don't require something that you're presenting?
Very, very good question, Abdu-Raof. I think what's important that when we sit down with a client is to actually show the client the process and also the financial outcome. Typically, in simple layman's, we look at what is it that you want at retirement. So it will give us over a certain lifespan, it will give us a certain graph, what I want to achieve at a certain point. All right? Then what we need to do is, what do you currently have? What are you currently investing in? What is your portfolio like? And that will give us a certain graph based on growth over a certain time. Then we see the difference between what I want and what I have, and that is what we need to work on. And this we need to show the client pictorially, and you need to do the necessary calculations. So coming back to your point that you made earlier on, those days of the person just telling you, listen, sign on the dotted line, this is what you need to do, those days are long gone, because where does that product, where does that investment fit in your financial plan, and where is it going to take towards what you want to achieve from what I currently have? So that's so important, to show the client your calculations, and also the necessary, you need to have the necessary tools to explain to the clients in simple terms, layman terms, of what, by doing this investment, you know, how will that contribute to me achieving my financial goal? So that needs to be shown. So as I said, we need to look at what it is that I want, what I currently have, and then look at the difference and how are we going to make that up over the years. Because obviously in most cases it would be humanly impossible to go from where I am now to what I want overnight. It's a process, Abdu-Raof, and hence the reason why I said when we get to the implementation stage now, which is the 5th stage of our financial planning process, is when we now implement, once we've discussed with you the wants, haves, and what we need to do. And now we start implementing. And also at this point in time, it is very important that we assess and determine your tolerance to risk, so that we don't place you in investments that is going to cause you sleepless nights. You need to sleep like a baby, knowing that my financial affairs is well looked after, and that my plan has been developed and it's been thought through very carefully with the necessary calculations and projections, and not unrealistic projections, as you said, that you start off with a 250 rand investment, Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, when your child gets to the age of 18, that you will have enough in the plan to see to the financial needs of the student. We know for a fact 250 rand over a certain period is not going to make it. We need to see what is it that I want to achieve at that point in time and work back and say how much do I need to put away to achieve that. So that's when we come to the implementation. Now once we've implemented the plan, Abdu-Raof, the most important part, one of the most important parts of your financial plan then is to review your plan regularly, because as life changes, as life throws us different curveballs at different times of our life, so too are the changes in the market. As we know, currently the market is very volatile. The South African market is battling since July 2014. The South African, the JSE, has been flat. Yet that doesn't mean that there are certain funds that gave good returns. Then there's offshore investments. There's different types of investments. So we need to then adapt and change your financial plan or your investments over the period that we're going to now walk. And that you can do when we review your portfolio. And your review period depends on the quantum, the size of your investment and your portfolio. Because some people might just need a review once a year. Yet there are other people that maybe need a review every 6 months, or even every quarter, or even when you are busy in the developing of the plan, depending on the size of the portfolio, it could be that in the first 6 months that you need to see that client every month. So it depends on what the needs of the client is, and what we need to achieve is how often we're going to review the financial plan. But reviews of your financial plan is so vitally important.
I think we have a lot to speak about, Mohammed. We've just entered the financial planning process now. So we thank you firstly for the synopsis of financial planning and what the concepts entail. I think in the next few programs in the series, we're going to basically unpack various life events and within the life cycle. And then you could give us probably the best advice from a financial planning point of view on how best to manage and mitigate certain risks within your life.
Abdu-Raof, we only try our best. I don't know if it is the best, but we try our best to give the best advice possible.
You've been watching the Finance Forum with myself, Abdu-Raof Hanslo, and my very special guest in the hot seat, Mr. Mohammed Jaffer from Mojaf Financial Services. Subscribe to our Facebook page, the Finance Forum, as well as follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Finance Forum. This has been a very good program on financial planning, and I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope that you learnt from the processes within financial planning. Until next time, stay focused on your finances. From myself, Abdu-Raof Hanslo, the Finance Forum.